Welcome back. We got Direwolves up against Kanga, and this Direwolves roster, Skimmy, they're still trying to find their potential, maybe find their feet on the ground, because it's been a lot of mixed results for them so far.
It has been, yeah. It's been very tumultuous. One moment you got somebody popping off, going absolutely crazy with it. The next game, it's a completely different story, and it makes it a little bit confusing to really get a proper read on what this team's all about, right? Lisa certainly being one that's tried to find all these very creative flanking angles, but a lot of the time, his attention's been drawn to be a bit more of a babysitter than anything. We saw that be a pretty big case, especially the other night, where he was having to always rotate to mid lane just to escort Emphis out to safety. But I think the shining star so far certainly has been Katsuri. Really has been the beacon of hope with some very standout performances. Even when they've been behind 10k gold, he is searching for those win conditions, hunting for a way back into the game. And I think it's certainly a very positive aspect. And a big reason why they had that major shift in that series the other night, where they flipped it around and said, you know what, up against Mammoth, let's go for the draw, let's play a double support comp. And it was really the Katsuri Lucian show. And from that point onwards, that champion's been banned away. So expecting to see a lot of priority go towards him in particular. But would really like to see the rest of their team, you know, find a degree of form, because with all these games back to back to back, and from what they've said themselves, they've not had much time to scrim, so all these stage games are basically their scrims.
Yeah, I'm enjoying watching this replay, giving me a bit of a quick update on how this Direwolves team is looking. But Max, how exactly would you sort of describe them?
Okay, I'll give my best as we quickly look at Kanga's roster, but Direwolves, I would say Katsuri, consistently great, Emphis consistently doesn't have the greatest time in lane, and River is completely unpredictable. But Kanga as well. We are now looking at these guys with a new AD carry, Sticks coming in from solo queue. If you guys know him, this guy is a prolific Ezreal player. That's what he's known for. But he's consistently been challenger the last couple of seasons. In fact, Nat, he actually missed my 21st so he could scrim with this roster. And I just want to put that out there. But this is a team as well who've kind of been struggling to find their feet. I think they've looked really good at certain points, particularly around that bot lane, right? Kurak, to me, has been the standout player, willing to bust out these off-meta picks. It really works so well for the style of Kanga. So it's going to be interesting to see how Styx manages to slot in here after what was really the strong point for Kanga.
So what you're saying is they need to 2-0 here, or it wasn't worth it, right, Max?
That's exactly, yeah. Styx will be getting a very long League of Legends message if he doesn't 2-0 OT tonight.
Alright, well, I'm looking forward to see what the result will be. Do you think there's a lot of overlap, Skim, in how these two teams play? Maybe even just the potential of we're not sure where they are. They're not consistent teams or rosters just yet.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a fair point in that regard. You know, from the side of Kanga, I think Invictus has been very keen just to slam Udi at jungle, the only person really doing it when everybody's saying Udi is so strong. But for laning reasons, right? He said, you know what, I'm just going to farm up an absolute storm and be a menace, where in situations he's actually running 1v5 and lived. I think that's a very different style to Lisa, who's been very much keen to try and force tempo, sit in lanes, be a babysitter, make sure that his laners get ahead. So very self-sacrificial versus, you know, the turbo clear, I'll be the star of the show. The thing for me, though, is I feel bad for Styx because of what you've just mentioned, but also because Ezreal literally just got nerfed. We didn't see much of it. It was the most broken champion, but everyone said, you know what, we don't even want to play it. Even overseas, they're playing Ezreal support, and now he's coming in and thinking, it just had to be this way, right? The debut, and my champion gets nerfed.
Yeah, wrong patch for him to be coming out in. But we actually want to look at Wudon a little bit more. There were some interesting things that you wanted to point out here, Skip.
Yeah, no, I think for Wudon, it's quite fascinating, right? Because he's certainly been quite keen to go for those solo kills, has the second most in the entire league. Obviously, we remember the performance he had into TN where he was playing the Jackson, really caught us off by a guard and thought, okay, maybe Wudon is the real deal, like a new up-and-coming top 4 top laner to keep your eye on. But at the same time, he's been very keen to really embody the full package that is top lane. Sit on an island, never interact with people, completely antisocial, live the life of an introvert, and be an Aatrox that I think went like 0-2-0. He won a match and never once saw anybody in that game. So, look, I think in tonight's matchup, it's going to be a very different story because River is an absolute psychopath. He's going to make him fight. So, whether or not Wooden wants to or not, he doesn't really get a choice in the matter.
Yeah, all right. I'm looking forward to that. I'm just wondering, like, where these coined terms for each player comes from. You know, are we taking it from other players? Is this what we're giving them? But either way, I want to jump in. I want to have a chat to some of these players. We got Shinky on standby. He's going to be jumping in here. Shinky, it's been so long. How are you?
Going great. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well too. It's nice to see you back in the support role. Are you enjoying being back down there now? Are you maybe looking to bring out some new support tech in this new patch?
Yeah, it's good to be back. Support. Yeah, it's definitely better than top lane. I'll say that. Yeah, I'm excited to play multiple games.
All right. Do you think like playing top helped you get a little bit better in support? Maybe give you some more information or awareness about the map, or not really?
It definitely like made me understand better what my top needs. But yeah, I think I did
Cool.
learn like a lot more.
Yep.
But yeah.
We lost you for a little bit there, but I think we got the general
sorry.
gist of top lane helping you there with support. No, you're all good. You're all good. Skim, I'll give you a chance to ask Shinky a question as well.
Yeah, Shinky, obviously last time I memed you about the whole karma situation, but on a realistic standpoint, talking about where we're at, you know, we saw you bounce back in phenomenal fashion the other night where you just played the double support comp. Has it been a sort of conscious decision to really invest into making it the Katsuri show, or is there more elements to look to try and unravel?
Yeah, I would say that like it's good to have double support. Like I think like Katsuri is a really good player, so like it was really good to have double support like supporting him of course. And but I don't think like double support is our identity as well. Like we can play other stuff, but it's just what works, you know.
Sure. That's sweet.
And Max, do you want to jump in with one as well?
Yeah, I do. Shinky, I wanted to kind of get your gauge on how the team's feeling energy-wise, because obviously you guys have played a bunch of League of Legends in a very short amount of time. You guys spoke about it earlier. These have kind of been like your scrims. So how are you guys feeling? How are the stage scrims working for you?
I mean, more excited still. Still pumped to like, win games, especially like to make playoffs. Like, still have a chance to make playoffs and stuff. Like we still haven't scrimmed much, but I think it's still fine. Like I think we're still confident about like winning the next like few games to push through and like you know. But like all our mentals and like drive to win the game is still there. Like definitely gonna try our best to win today, tomorrow, and the next day.
I want to quickly piggyback off what you're asking, Max, but Shinky, the fact that you guys are playing 3 times in this week, is there, you know, apprehensions about having to play daily for 3 days in a row, or are you actually really excited? You're like, oh, more competitive league is exactly what I want.
I mean, personally, I'm excited to play 3 days in a row. Like, all pumped. Yeah, like, none of us are like, oh no, it's 3 days in a row. Like, all keen, because, like, obviously, like, my teammates haven't played in a while, you know, because it's been press period. They're all pretty keen to play. So, yeah, we're pretty excited.
Awesome. I love to hear it. Shinky, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck today. So, yeah.
What did he say?
We
We just missed him for half the combo.
He actually said, I hate Skimmy. I read his
I
lips.
swear it's
He
Mike's
said-
sensitivity. It's
Oh.
almost like selective hearing. It's like, oh, I don't want to talk anymore. Bye.
He did the thing where his mouth was moving like that.
Wow.
I also love how I asked him, and I was just like, "Oh, you guys enjoying the fact you have to play 3 consecutive days? Like, as if they're not already doing that 7 days a week,
Yeah.
Max. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, but you're playing the game for 14 hours a day anyway. Like, you may as well have 2 of those be competitive. Like, it's not much of a difference.
I don't want to watch myself being a DJ for 14 hours though, Max. That's what they're saying.
Hmm.
They're
They're
like-
going to be healthy.
Yeah.
now we have video evidence of it happening there. Yeah, a bit of a shame that some of what Shinky said was cut out there, but it is nice to know, even though we don't know how, top lane did help him be a little bit of a better support, Max.
Yeah, I don't really understand how that works out. I think top lane, Shinky obviously came in at as kind of this savior, was kind of thrown into the situation. Support is where he's always belonged, and I think that him and Katsuri, they're looking good so far. So I think that, you know, there's definitely room for them to level up as a bot lane as well.
Yeah, well, let's get on with our second interview. We've got Rudy Fury here joining us. Let's bring him in. Yeah, I was wondering if we're going to get the big waves and the big smiles, Rudy Fury. I don't even know if I have to ask this question, but how are you? How are the team atmosphere heading into this series?
Well, it is definitely always positive, because that's all you can do, right? Be as positive as you can be.
Nice. I love that. I love that. Max was telling us a little bit on air that Six missed out on his 21st for the scrims. So how did the scrims go? Did you guys at least like get something from them? Was it worth it? Like, you know, try and console Max a little bit here.
Yeah, you tell me like 3-0.
Look, trying to get me to leak more information over and over again. I can't, obviously I can't give you that stuff. But look, we'll say worth. So sorry, boss. But we definitely needed him.
No, that's good. That's all I needed to know.
Do you want to ask anything else, Max, while we do have him here?
I mean, you seem very positive. Obviously, it's a bit of an intense situation regarding the playoffs picture. There's a billion different scenarios. I'm not sure if you've seen any of the graphics. But as a team, like, do you pay any heed to that, or is it really just like a game-by-game basis?
You said it, Max. Just a game by game. If you think over the whole leaderboard, you panic too much. You're gonna crumble. So it's just game by game. I jump in, play another game, and just gonna keep trying my best. And the whole team as well. But of course, my top lane is gonna get another solo kill on River today, so it'll be pretty chill.
Okay.
I love it. Skim?
Look, the most important question for me to ask you, Reefy, mate, is your computer fixed? Last week you told us you're playing on a different setup and it looked a little bit rough. You're like hard stuck 20 FPS, playing Azir, letting the soldiers do all the damage for you, and you're like praying that it would win. Are we back to 100%?
Yes, Skimmy, we are back. I finally have gone from the 20 frame gameplay. You'd be surprised how much Chrome and Discord absolutely destroys a CPU. So it was bloody brutal. I will say my Azir the other day was a bit sus. Wasn't that great? But
we don't talk about
we're back.
It never
on
happened.
The new PC. We're on the setup again. We're ready to go, Skimmy. We're ready to take him out.
Ready for those W's. That's all we're finding tonight. Gotcha, mate.
Yes.
Look, while we're talking about Azir, we don't have to mention that game specifically, but we were looking. You've played a lot of Azir lately. In this new patch, it's maybe not going to be something that you're looking towards. So do you guys think that you're going to be branching out a lot more when it comes to those champions for you, or do you still have a pretty set image on how you want to play?
Again, I can't answer these questions. I'll tell you, I'll play Rammus mid, and that's all the information you're going to get. But yeah, Azir, I will say, the reason why we're playing Azir is because that champion is like Shurima. You just hear Shurima, put down a soldier, and he's like, I fell in love. I just love that champion so much. I might have Fido in my ear, I'm always just speaking about like, he's like, Azir, just flip them. I'm like, yep, got it.
So you're playing Cassiopeia then? Fantastic. Good comms. Good comms. I'm reading between the lines here. I see what you mean, mate.
I can't play that champ. I mean, I can
play
that champ, but I'm just holding it down right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He's keeping it in the back pocket for later. But Re Fury, we'll let you go. I'm always going to poke and prod, try and get that information. But it's been a pleasure to have you. Good luck for today.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy.
See ya. Bye.
A pleasure.
God, he's full of energy, isn't he?
He is.
He is just bubbly as ever.
We're out here, we're saying, oh, some questionable gameplay. Maybe this might have been an issue. And it's still just the absolute biggest smile on his face there. Side select, it popped up briefly. Let's bring it up yet again because maybe I've missed something.
No,
in the
well, I
time.
saw Antic there,
wrong graphic.
so I'm assuming that's not the right...
It is the wrong. Yeah, we gotta hold. We're gonna bring it up. I'm gonna give a little bit of warning. Yeah, this is what I was hinting towards. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe it's this new patch, but a red side pick coming out, Max, for Kanga.
Yeah, so 2 red side games going to be played here for Kanga, and this is really interesting. It kind of speaks to where Kanga view their strengths in terms of where they actually want to put those resources, because we've seen, top lane with the Direwolves be such an inconsistent factor that if you can really target that 2 games in a row with a counter pick, and we already mentioned how dominant Wudon can be in these 1v1s with getting solo kills, that can really be a way to target the game. So I'm very keen to see how they actually go about using this 5th pick.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, guys, you should have your say as well. You should let us know who you think is going to be winning game 1. Use your Twitch points. Put them in chat just above there next to Max, depending on what viewpoint you're watching this game or this series in. Yeah, you were close enough. You were like leading into the chat when you had your arm all the way over there. So I'll give you points for it still. Maybe you want to take some inspiration from us on who you think is going to be, or what the score is going to be for this series. All 3 of us going for that 1-1 for Direwolves and Kanga Skim.
Also, quickly now, are you happy with your score? I feel like Mac did a good enough job to preserve your win rate here. He's kept you in the lead. So I'm pretty sure you'd be stoked about that. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm all in on the Direwolves 1-1, flip the coin. Next minute, we're looking like Faker. The next game, we're just a complete Sonic U mess. I'm not too sure what to expect. I'm really not too sure what to expect. I think, though, it does look a little bit spicy with double red side games for Kanga. I think I'm very much on the bandwagon here with Max, that they're looking for a counter pick. And gonna, yeah, definitely make sure that's their point of strength.
We can talk some more about draft while we're waiting for that champion select to pop up for us, Max. Again, I know you keep saying like they're looking for that counter pick, but as we go into champ select, it is ready. I just got word in my ear. Maybe you could talk a little bit more on what some of those champions it could be. Maybe it's part of the scrims that they had to miss out on.
Well, we saw some pretty wacky counter picks up towards that top lane in the last series that Direwolves played, right? The Varus top being played by Zoranus. I wouldn't really be expecting Woodon to pull that out. That is very much a kind of solo queue pocket pick. But there are certainly a range of champions that Woodon has available to him, right? We've seen the Jax from him. We've seen the Aatrox as well. Obviously, Aatrox can be a very lane-dominant pick with the Profane Hydra Lethality build and really punish any missteps. But I imagine with K'Sante remaining unbanned for this first phase, it is definitely something that teams have been going towards more and more earlier in the draft.
Yeah, it's a very prized pick just because it's so safe to pick blind, isn't it? So we've certainly seen teams be, even in some cases, actually blind pick it first pick. But not in this occasion. No, the Seraphine comes out to play. The tax was certainly paid in terms of saying Invictus. You're not allowed 5 games of jungle Udyr in a row. And Styx, welcome to the league. You won't get your hands on Ezreal.
So what's interesting here, Skimmy, is there is a little bit of uncertainty about where this actually goes. We heard Shinky say in his pre-game interview that they have been practicing the Alistar. Now, that is a very common pairing with the Seraphine, right? You just have so much lockdown, and this Alistar never dies and is able to permanently disrupt in those team fights. However, it could also go potentially towards the mid lane, as we've had a bit of a drama. Getting him all out of the way first thing.
Yes.
But this Seraphine as well, you know, Empress is a player who does have quite a versatile champion pool if you are wanting to play that more sort of supportive style, which we know he has done in the past with picks like the Karma. Certainly could go there as well and kind of free up the rest of your team to take on a more carry-oriented role.
I'm very much aligned with you on that kind of bandwagon of thinking that it certainly could be a support pick that gets flexed later on into the draft. We've seen a fair few variations of what that Seraphine can offer in the bot lane. It could be like a Seraphine Karma, despite the nerfs. It's still insanely strong in terms of the push. One goes to TP, is infinitely pushing out that wave, coming back and getting a massive item advantage as a result. Certainly could be flexed in the mid lane too. But I'd like to see some more engaged supports. It feels like we've teased with the likes of a Blitzcrank and a Maokai coming out to play, but for the most part, it has been Enchanters on repeat. So to see a Seraphine Alistar would certainly be quite exciting and really, I guess, catch the Kanga side off guard.
And I think that's absolutely right. Like, it is a very left field for Direwolves because they have been so oriented around Katsuri and him being the one who is really 1v9ing a lot of their games. So I'd imagine if you have him on Seraphine, if you're Kanga, yes, it's kind of a spanner in the works, but also there is a bit of a sigh of relief that Katsuri is not going to be on this damage threat who's 1v9ing. Now, obviously, there is a fair bit of room for Kanga to respond. We mentioned Azir, a big pick that Ryu Fury likes heading towards, still, you know, up and available for him to go, and Styx there on the camera. The new addition to the roster. So he is going up against Katsuri in his first game. Obviously, a pretty harsh welcome to the league, given how well Katsuri has been playing. But this is a man who has all the solo queue experience. He's gotten some scrims under his belt as well, and hoping to impress with his debut here today.
Well, all I have, the notes I have from what I've cast Styx in the past, I'll read them out to you, Max. They are fantastic. Yep. It says he began League in Season 1. He's been playing the game for a fair bit of time. Wow, really? That's what it says here. Yeah, it says that his favorite champions would be Ezreal, Kai'Sa, and Lucian. That he spent a little bit of time in Amateur playing for Avalanche as well as RMIT. And the last obscure stat, I don't know why he's told us this, but he said, I'm better than Arsh. So
he's better than Arsh.
Make of that as you will. There you go.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think setting your bar in terms of who you're better than as a coach might not be the best way to go. But I'd say certainly in terms of solo queue rank, that is the case at the moment. He did get challenged very early this season in solo queue. So definitely a very proficient carry player in that regard. It will be interesting to see how he pairs up towards, you know, with Kurak, Skimmy, because to me, like I said earlier, he really has been the standout. I think that Kurak is someone who's definitely impressed me in terms of his willingness to play both a carry and more supportive style. And his ability to really do both enables the drafts to be so flexible for Kanga. So I'm very interested to see how Styx really integrates with this roster as they head into this game one.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it's too early to say at this stage that Kurak's an innovator, but certainly in his very first split, I've been really impressed by the flexibility and just his overall gameplay, right? It almost feels like it's had a bit of a knock-on effect with the likes of, as I said before, the Blitzcrank and the Maokai coming out. We saw Lissandra support as well, played by Asta, which was quite exciting. So I think there's certainly a fair bit of room for support players to showcase that, hey, like, it's not all about just planting wards, AFK in lane, and giving our spotlight all across the AD carry, that we can certainly perform as well. I mean, you touch on that center performance. He had like 160 stacks, doing like 10k damage, the most damage in that team fight, right? So there's certainly a world in which he can really showcase his ability and take sticks under his wings.
Yeah, will be a bit of that mentorship coming in, and I wonder how Direwolves is kind of approaching this, as we kind of got a brief insight before. They're all feeling pretty excited, but you have to imagine that this hasn't been the start that they've wanted since coming back, right? It has been such a tumultuous start, only picking up one win out of all the games that they've played so far against Mammoth. Yes, they have looked close at times, but ultimately it has been a kind of bit of inconsistency within their games that ultimately is the nail in the coffin for them, right? They haven't actually been able to take those leads and run with them, and especially with how important this game is for the standings, you're really hoping as a Direwolves fan that this is an issue that they've addressed throughout their practice.
Well, it almost feels to me like this is their last chance, because if you look at the run of form for Kanga, the last 2 games this week would be up against Direwolves and then up against Antic. Now, without sounding biased, it looks as if that's going to be a very uphill battle up against Antic, but against Direwolves, you're really, really hoping for the perfect 2-0. You've got 2 points right now. It is very tough to try and see an out of that position unless they can get it here. But we're back into the draft. Thank you so much for bearing with us as the lobby is back underway. That first pick would be still for Direwolves in the Seraphine, and then we'll get to see the response right after.
Yeah, so it has actually been changed, Skimmy. We've just received word that Senna was the pick that was meant to be locked in. So for whatever issue, I know there are constantly issues that plague League of Legends lobbies, but it was meant to be that Senna that's going to be first pick. So still, you know, a potential avenue for the Seraphine to be picked up later in the draft. That pairing, we have seen it before, as a very sustain-heavy, poke-heavy bot lane, but Kanga is going to pick up the Varus. Now, 14.3 lethality items did take a little bit of a hit, but still not enough to deter people from going towards this AD carry. His laning phase is so strong, and he provides so much one-shot potential, especially when paired with a pick like the Taliyah.
Yeah, regardless of build, the level 3 all-in from Varus is pretty hard to beat. Very, very strong, as you rightly point out. The Taliyah, though, is exciting. We mentioned it received a nice little buff on this patch. It's been seeing play elsewhere in the world, and it's great to see that knock-on effect now make its way to our region as well. Straight response, though, from Direwolves, wasting no time with this whatsoever. They've locked in their bot lane as a Nautilus and a Senna, and similarly, the jungle for Brand.
And a little bit of a change of style here with this Brand pick, right? We mentioned earlier how Lisa is very willing to sacrifice himself. He's very willing to put others in front of him and sacrifice his camp, sacrifice his clear to enable his laners. But this game, locking in the Brand, really wanting to head towards that full clear avenue, really wanting to make sure that he is the one who's pumping out this damage and has that Senna Nord behind him. Now, this is an interesting adaptation here from Kanga. They've gone with the Tahm Kench. So this is a kind of stereotypical answer into the Nautilus, because, you know, that Nautilus R comes out, you simply Tahm Kench devour whoever has been targeted by that. Very good at responding to the single target engage, and typically this comes paired with a on-hit Varus, right? Not the lethality variant. Instead, you're saying, okay, go, be powerful, get all these auto attacks and uptime with that lethal tempo, and I'll have that Devour ready to get you into safety. So we'll be interested to see what build Styx does end up going for with that Tahm Kench being locked in.
As you rightly say, yeah, it certainly has been, I want to say, like a 70-30 split. People going for the lethality route, and certainly when we have seen the on-hit variation, it's been paired with the Renata. But on this occasion, Direwolves doing their homework. They've banned that one away and said it might not be optimal with the Enchanter to back you up and accelerate your growth, but you'll have that protection, which above all else is going to be so necessary given how strong those first 3 are from Direwolves. Well, out comes the Riven ban, usually banned against River, but on this occasion they've actually banned it away from themselves, which really leaves me scratching my head.
I did actually just check with our producer that ban was real, because it almost feels like they were switched sides for a second, because yeah, River, obviously a very prolific Riven player, but also Woodon kind of paying respect to that player who can whip that pick out as well. We know that Woodon, especially given that he has that 5p available, doesn't want to be able to pick up that Riven into a fantastic spot and just run away with the matchup. So respect ban coming out. Now with those 2 mid bans locked in for Kanga, you have to assume that they will be wanting to round out their either mid or jungle here. They're wanting to kind of make that safe pairing with that Taliyah, who could be either in the mid or the jungle position. And they're going to say it's going to be a Taliyah mid here, Skimmy. Xin Zhao's locked in.
Certainly is. Nice aggression there for Invictus to switch things up with that Udyr taken away. It's time to go for some easy lanes to gank. You'd certainly find it fairly successful in the bot lane with the Varus. And also be said the same there with a seismic shove in the mid lane too. I'm very curious now to see what the response is from Emphis with 3 of his, well actually make it 4 of his go-to champions denied. what is there left? We've talked about Ari in the past. He said if there's a good Ari angle, I'm going to go for Comfort.
I'm kind of perplexed by this Ari pick here, though, Skimmy, because first of all, you know, obviously Talia has a decent time dealing with Ari in lane, right? That E from Talia negates so much of the potential that Ari has to dive on top of it. Not only that, but you're also pairing it with a brand, so a lot of Merc Treads value, and you have a Tahm Kench to be able to eat whoever's charmed. So Empus really valuing the comfort kind of over the value that this pick has, and Direwolves really dialing into this single target lockdown with this Renekton pick. Renekton is a champion we've seen kind of fall out of the meta recently, hasn't had the greatest time up against some of the meta tankier top laners, but certainly provides a lot of lockdown potential. So the Direwolves comp here, they're all about picking in one person and blowing them up.
Basically, and I think, much to your point, the comp is so revolved around getting that one pick and getting that one kill that really for Kurak, this could be the freest game of his life to really deny everything with a single press of an ultimate. So I'm curious to see then how these two teams do end up fighting their fight, because the final pick will be the Aatrox to go into that matchup. So with the K'Sante up and available, both teams deciding we just do not care.
It's the famous Wood on Aatrox, Skimmy. It's what we were talking about pre-show. This team fight monster who really, when Woodon plays it, becomes a split pusher, becomes a champion that you're only really seeing in the side lanes. But certainly a nice show of respect here, right? Neither of them going for that K'Sante that has been open, instead saying they want a little bit more agency, they want a little bit more damage in these team fights. Now, it really is going to revolve around this mid jungle early on. Talia Xin Zhao, for the side of Kanga, is an incredibly potent 2v2 duo, especially given the fact that they're going to be able to stack magic resist against this Brandon Ari. On the side of the Direwolves, they're really focused on playing around this bot lane. How can they unlock this Senna Nautilus and pair with Lisa to really get this brand ahead and snowballing? Because yes, Kanga are favored in that 2v2, but it doesn't matter. If Brand's getting all these camps, he's taking every objective on the map, you're never going to even have a 2v2.
And to that point as well, Max, given how strong the Kanga 2v2 is, I wouldn't be too surprised if there was a little bit of tech to come out from Re-Theory, where he goes for the Archangel's Rush, perhaps then goes for the second item, Verdant Barrier into Banshees, right? You then got all that magic resistance, still obviously gives you the AP, and you negate half of their combo, right? If they're looking for the charm, if they're looking for that initial Pillar of Flame, it's so much harder to find, and it becomes a nefarious game for Atalia to say, you missed your gank, now watch me Weaver's Wall down to bot lane and kill them there too. So I think as far as draft goes, I would favourite to Kanga. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same. Look, I really don't like the Renekton Ari 4-5. I think especially with a Tahm Kench pick, like you mentioned, Kurak is really just going to have the greatest game of his life, because yes, Lisa does have a lot of AoE, but besides that, you're so dialed into these mid to early game team fights where you're using this Renekton and Ari, because if you're not getting value out of them early, they simply don't scale anywhere near as well as their opponents in those solo lanes. So look, there is certainly a world in which they're able to snowball beyond the point of no return with Lisa getting those items, getting that farm online. But certainly if we get to a state where the game's fairly even, it's 30 minutes in, then suddenly this Renekton and this Ari aren't anywhere near as scary.
Totally won't be. They've made the game harder for themselves than maybe they need to, but either way, that's the situation we find ourselves in to kickstart the very first game in this series. It's a battle at the bottom of the table with Kanga sat in 6th position, Direwolves in 8th, with all these games to play to catch up on stage, and only a single point separates them. Any result here really could be the difference that determines whether or not they make it into that top 6. So really, there is a lot on the line, and comfort may not be enough.
A lot to play for here, and you have to imagine that Styx coming in this dire situation, he's certainly under some pressure himself, right? You can see Varus, one of his more preferable champions. He's gone for the Hail of Blades Ghost combination as the hook's on a little bit of training, but nothing too consequential here. Varus, obviously, with that Hail of Blades Ghost combo, like you said, Skimmy, at level 3 all-in is definitely a very real possibility. And the fact that you have a Tahm Kench into Nautilus, you actually feel quite safe playing this lane, right? You get to kind of be that bully that Varus wants to be and really throw around those E's, throw around those Qs. You can see already the priority going in favor of Kanga in this early lane.
Something to be expected, as Katsuri is similarly going to go for the farming variant at this stage. It's been a long time since I've seen Katsuri play as champion. I believe it would have been all the way back in 2020 when he was on the Chiefs himself for OPL and performed so well. He even made one of those international LOL montages, even despite him hitting the ultimate back to front. We won't talk about that. It was a good clip either way, but I'm excited to see him on this one, right? We obviously spoke at such great lengths as to how much of a leader, not only a carry, but a leader he is in his maturity and his experience. Obviously having spent time overseas as well, taking a bit of a break when he returned back home. But to come out now and say, look, I'm ready to go. I don't really care what games we have. I'm always going to see that wink on. I just need to hope that my team is aligned on that same page. And as much as we sort of talk about that mid lane matchup, I'm thinking, seems a bit weird to try and counterpick yourself with this Ahri. Maybe it is all about just get the comfort, get into the rhythm. We've got a lot of games to get through right now. Let's just get that experience.
I think that really is the key consideration here for this Ahri, right? Emphas as well hasn't had the greatest individual showings in his previous games. Obviously, facing tough opponents in lane, but also, like you mentioned earlier, having to draw a lot of the attention from Lisa to kind of bail him out of losing situations. So, it will be nice to see him back here on this Ahri, as you can see already in a decent spot towards this lane. But this is what I was talking about earlier with the brand. He's just such a fast clearer that he's able to get down here nice and early, will have the priority to head towards this Scuttle Crab as well. So certainly taking advantage of what is still an incredibly fast clear here from this brand.
Certainly is, and you'd love to see that the lanes play out in a fashion where it allows them to be this aggressive to then actually control and dictate whether or not they can start at things like the Dragon or those Void Grubs. We know just how quick a brand can at least steal away one, even if it is across the wall. Obviously the position, blue side, wouldn't make that necessary, but the vision's been pretty good from the side of Kanga, making sure they're tracking exactly where the fights are going on down. Speaking of, Riv actually decides to go back in, spin around to get a little bit of life leech, and surely now for Woodon, it's a flash dash and a flash as he gets taken down for first blood.
The solo kill master does it once again here. Woodon as the hooks onto Ryu Fury, might get charmed.
Really good hook into charm there. There is all the pebbles on the ground. It's not going to be enough, and Emphas on his coveted Ahri gets a kill in return.
Both comfort picks on either side here really finding the value. Woodon just taking advantage of a very nice wave state. He acknowledges that River is going to have to trade into him and just follows him up. A really nice cancel with that E as well to get that auto attack reset and take him down despite the flash coming through from River. And meanwhile, Ryu Fury does fall down, so nice value out of this Ahri early on with that charm and a really nice roam from Shinky, who has been falling back into stride in this support role.
He certainly has. It was a fantastic hook, really thread the needle. You're thinking, surely it doesn't connect, but it did. Was enough for Ryu Fury to feel bailed out with a flash being burnt, and that is the early CC combo before really the strength of that Kanga 2v2 can come online. As for the Renekton note, maybe a bit of a reason why we don't see this champion as often these days when Cassandre just does it better. If you don't win early, you certainly feel a little bit rough later on. But if he were to be left to his devices and entertain the idea that Woodon wants to be very much stuck in top lane on his own, then they could just hit each other and keep that flash and TP on CD Perma.
Woodon's gone for a Tabi's rush here as well, so kind of saying that, okay, my #1 priority is to avoid dying in lane, but looks like the priority for the Direwolves now will be these Void Grubs. First one's already gone down, but River's got no flash, Skimmy.
Doesn't have any flash, he's in a lot of trouble right now, but can slice and dice at the safety. Lisa also betting his flash to run away from that one, as two get picked up by the Direwolves, the other by Kanga, and then ripped back by Woodon as he finds his second.
No flash Renekton is the easiest target in the world there. You can see as well that the World Ender did come through for Woodon there, just ticked 6 off the top wave. So now this Aatrox, I mean, yes, you lose 2 grubs, but now you're up 2 kills on this top lane. Feeling very good here is this Kanga top laner, who we already kind of mentioned early on. Just the work that he's able to get done in those isolated 1v1s. Yes, he hasn't had the greatest teamfight showings, but simply, Skimmy, I mean, if you're smashing your lane opponent like this, you really don't need to be.
It does not matter as we find a fight in the mid lane as well. Both limping away as they're fairly low, down to 40%. Emphas though in a fair bit of trouble. The orb's not going to be enough. The life leech is not there. And Ryu Fury gets a solo kill. I'll tell you what, these Kanga solo laners, they're out for blood.
I'm not sure what happened there from Emphas. He kind of just stood and tanked all of Ryu Fury's damage. The Q cooldown potentially catching him off guard there. We can see again this replay. Yes, Brand does these incredibly fast, but look at River's positioning, right? He has to use the double dash just to kind of get out of the way of Woodon initially, and then by the time those chains land, he has no mobility to escape. Just a clean kill for Woodon there on the Aatrox.
It certainly is. It's a scary prospect, given that they are so far ahead, and we already talked about some of the limitations perhaps that this draft would present them. The saving grace has been some phenomenal roams by Shinky, which has allowed Katsuri to get a little bit of extra solo experience and not get punished. Certainly not going to be too upset by that one as an AD carry player. As you work your way to all those stacks to become a real late game powerhouse, but you're certainly going to be a little bit concerned about the way the rest of these lanes are going. Shinky though, flash hook heal, is it enough? It's certainly not. With the ignite and those rain of arrows, they just do so much damage.
Emphasis coming down, but there's no ultimate available. Kurek's going back in.
He certainly is. Katsuri baiting with the flash to try and keep them interested for the meantime. The root goes out, the vision is lost, but the charm is there as Emphas makes a great roam from mid to bot. The piercing arrow gets it done as Styx steals away a miracle kill.
That piercing arrow there, finding its target. The bot lane from Kanga really seems to have picked up where they left off in terms of this aggression, constantly pushing the pace. Just the burst damage to come through from this Varus was too much. Shinky holds his flash a little bit too late. The Styx has been caught. The ult's back on.
Memphis right in his face. Guarantees the charm connects. Great patience, and that's the side of an Ari main.
Ari main will be rewarded there for that roam towards bot lane finally. I mean, without the ult there on that initial play, you kind of assume that Kanga would just be able to walk out. But let's take another look at this bot lane play. You can see all it is really is Correct just channeling this W onto Shinky, who's slowed, and he doesn't flash initially. That initial flash not coming out means that if that Q hits, you're going to be absolutely nuked, and that's exactly what happens there. Styx with these piercing arrows, kind of just an aimbot, as Kurak as well. I'm not sure if he reads the roam here and decides that he wants to go back in anyway, but it's a nice Q from Styx here to kind of salvage what would have been another roam, so right back into it.
Certainly are right back into it. It is Shinky at the receiving end of all that pain and punishment. 3-1 now is this Varus as Kurak works his magic once again and is able to tank up down to 100 HP. And I tell you what, as far as the debut goes, I feel like Styx is slotting in very nicely.
He's crushing it, absolutely, on this Varus, right? So much kill threat, so much burst potential, and Kanga absolutely know that. Yes, it's a center Nautilus, but really, this Nautilus isn't anywhere near being tanky, especially because he's not going the farming variant. So his gold income will be severely delayed compared to if you were picking those CS up yourself. And you can see the top lane just constant trading back and forth. River does have the priority, but he's got to sacrifice his HP to do so. So with these grubs spawning in a little bit, it will be interesting to see where these junglers are placing their priorities. It looks like bot lane is the answer for now.
Yeah, very tough situation for Lisa to fight himself in, no doubt about it. He wants to be the carry, but not going to be able to do much about that. What a Shinky headbutts the wall, gets a major headache as nothing comes of it. Resigns himself to death there, and Kanga, I tell you what, they have so much priority. They really can do as they please.
You just cannot walk up in this bot lane if you're the Direwolves right now. There is just too much CC, too much damage. And just coming onto Shinky once again, whenever he walks up here, this Nautilus has just been absolutely farmed here from Kanga so far, and that'll translate into the first Dragon of the game.
First Dragon, 2k golded as well. Kanga certainly in the best possible situation, only 10 minutes into this one. You can check in with the lanes and say, well, it's looking fairly even. The only major difference in the saving grace would be this man on your screen right now in terms of this brand. He's already got the Rylai's. He got 2 stacks before and seemingly about to get all 5 after picking up the remaining ones here now. And surely, Max, this is their out. This is their way to get back into this one.
You're absolutely hoping so if you are a Direwolves fan right now. Lisa, like you mentioned, taking advantage of that kind of window in the bot lane where all the members of Kanga are hitting that dragon to pick up those 5 Void Grubs. And this brand now 22 CS up on his opponent, feeling very nice with that Rylai's completed. So he really will be the player to keep your eye on as this game progresses, as he is your major source of AoE damage, right? You can see the bot lane items right now. Styx, full Yomu's completed compared to the Serrated Dirk and Rectrix that Katsuri will pick up just off his base there. So certainly across the board, Kanga are feeling quite strong. It will be a question of how they can get Lisa involved into these fights.
It does beg the question, who feels more, akin to want to try and start up that fight, because the Titanic Hydra having now been complete certainly means that Invictus is by no means behind. And the option here from Retheory to go for the Ludens as opposed to perhaps the Archangel's tech. Doesn't actually want to really go for any of that mitigation. Just wants to do pure damage at this point. And I think given that you are so far ahead, I'm not going to dispute that.
Kanga are really playing like it though as well. They've acknowledged their advantage. You can see Retheory on this Thalia has been constantly hovering towards this bot lane anytime he gets a roam in. So not only does that kind of enable Styx to use this advantage to really press forward, but it also means that Direwolves are dissuaded from bringing that brand down and try to find a play of their own, because it is so hard to walk into any of the members of Kanga with how much CC they have. Shinky, will he fall victim yet again?
Please don't do it, Shinky, as we toggle the vision between what we can see and what they can see. In the end, they decide it's not the right play, and they see that that's exactly where Lisa's at. Is he distracted? Is he looking at the shot? Great flash.
Good flash.
Huge awareness as he dodged out that one as well from Katsuri.
A little bit of a jinx there as we both kind of acknowledge how good that flash is from Lisa, but dodges the chains of corruption. But you can see already, kind of to my previous point, of how hard it is to actually find a player on the bot side, but Retheory is finding one in the mid lane here.
He's peppering them down. It actually is enough to full set the Spirit Rush to safety. His emphasis is really feeling the punishment. Back to the bot lane we go. Max range and hook doesn't connect, but Kurak somehow has been caught in the disengage out.
I'm not sure what happened there. We'll have to get a replay as we saw towards the mid lane. This Talia pick, which, let me remind everybody, this Ahri was picked into this Talia. This was a voluntary choice from Memphis to pick this matchup. As we take a look at this bot lane here, Kurak, like you said, I think just gets a little bit overconfident, doesn't realize that Lisa is still in the area, which, to be honest, I wouldn't really even have thought of because of the fact that he just used his flash in that previous play. But a nice kind of opportunity taken there from Lisa, who picks up his first kill.
Really promising signs then for Direwolves to have a carry threat as River gets aggressive in the top lane, just returns with that TP and a Black Cleaver to boot. He's ready to rock and roll as Lisa rocks up to the lane, TP in from Refuries. He literally just walks away, and even Kurak is here. Everybody up in the top lane.
Everyone's here. Herald spawning in 30 seconds, and River is a very strong Crocodile right now with that Cleaver completed. You can see that the respect having to be shown, but he's another TP,
Weaver's
and there's no flash on Lisa.
I don't know where to go this time. There is the flip, there is the knockback, there is the knock up, and there is the kill confirmed. And if you can't find it in the mid lane, then Refu just roams to find it elsewhere.
Lisa, unfortunately, realizing how hard it is to play Brand without any mobility. You can see that Weaver's Wall from Refury gets so much value, right? The second that comes out, he knows he is dead. And with all 5 members of Kanga currently being towards this top side, you have to imagine that this just will be a free Rift Herald going into the hands of Kanga.
Seems to be a done deal at this stage, and you're not going to see any real movement from Direwolves as a result. The only lane they can look to try and target is that bot lane, which is exactly what Emphasis is working on right now. So they'll find their very first turret, the first of the game as well. Seismic shot, blind in the wall is good, but the charm connects, and the damage is matched. Spirit Rush, dodge the vision, and break the line of attack as they both walk away worse for wear, but the fight continues now with the Herald picked up here by Invictus. It's a Gout disengaging away, an Abyssal Dive and a Flash being burnt, and Direwolves at least get something.
They get something there. Unfortunately, on the bot side, you can see Empress having a really hard time in this 1v1 as Refury continues to push the pace here. Oh, that Q just a centimeter away from landing from Woodon. Could have really forced a kill there with this Sundered Sky now picked up for this Aatrox. So won't be heading towards the lethality route that we have been seeing so often. Instead opting to get a little bit of more survivability in his kit, wanting to be a bit more of a frontline member to really tank up all the damage that is coming out. Because if you can survive that initial burst, like we said, from this Direwolves roster, there is a significant lack of damage to come after that. And now Kanga wanting to head towards this Mountain Dragon. They've shoved in the mid wave and are looking to add to their Dragon collection for this game.
They certainly are. They know how strong they are, that they can group up, even on vision, and know, well, what is really the response. Look how much vision they have, as our observers kindly demonstrate exactly my point here. They know exactly where Lisa is. They know they're under no real threat to have this Dragon contested. 2 are taken. Soul now, certainly looking like they're, real win condition as well. Is it going to be an Infernal one of all things? So they've already been so on point with their rotations. They pick up those Infernal shards, and you're absolutely terrified.
Well, an Infernal Soul Varus is an incredibly scary prospect, especially given how well scaled into this game Styx is currently. You can see 3-1-1 on this Varus. Is that just a center ult to try to clear the wave? I'm not sure what Shinky's going for there. Maybe there was a Soul a little bit far out that he wanted to pick up, but then nonetheless, that Dawning Shadow will go out as River's getting aggressive towards his top side.
Certainly is. Conqueror stacked up, drops the Dominus and says it's time to fight 1v1, but it's the Sundered Sky Aatrox. You'd bet that he would win that one every day of the week right now, but River's certainly taking it to him. He feels like he's strong enough with the Black Cleaver active. He goes in for the kill, and he gets the shutdown. He's surrounded by 3 afterwards and says, look, in isolation, I've got my revenge. And now Dai will surely look to try and utilize that by pressuring this mid-tier 1.
The solo kill Demon is just taken out in a 1v1 there. River just completely running him down there, the long lane, enabling him to use that double cast of E, but Shinky's being caught.
He has been caught. Good buff on the dredge line, gets him out of trouble for the meantime. Crescent Guard goes out to try and block all this damage from afar, but Invictus, as soon as he jumps in, realizes there's not really much to come of it, as the lonesome Void Might pans its way over.
Poor sad little Void Miters. This mid lane control really has been the focal point for both of these teams ever since freeing their bot lanes, right? Especially with the Varus, this center, it becomes so hard to play on these mid waves with the amount of CC that can come through, right? A Chain of Corruption, there's no cleanse to address that. So if that lands, it is almost certainly a death, especially since you don't have the luxury of a Tahm Kench to back you up. So as we head into this mid game, I am really expecting this mid lane to be the focal point, right? We have the Herald in the hands of Invictus. As we can see, both teams converging on mid lane now. That sweeper crucially will miss Fury and Invictus.
Certainly will, but Emphis does still have the vision in that wall as they look to try and force out the fight. Chain of Corruption is getting dodged out by the Spirit Rush, who goes any further up, who find himself a wood on as the TP comes in from River, and we all butt heads in the mid lane. A full 5v5 with no major objective up in sight. This is the posturing and positioning you'd look to expect if a Dragon was on the line.
This has to be the most anticlimactic 5v5 of all time. Styx, crucially, does use the flash though, tries to hit that flash Chain of Corruption as River steals the Scuttled Crab, but that's a big cooldown gone, right? A lot of this Varus' survivability is really now in question, and so is the survivability of this mid lane turret. 4 members of Direwolves will just take that one down.
They certainly will. With Kanga spread in the end, it means it's very easy to finish what they did start in that mid lane and continue to allow Lisa to seize opportunities to say, I just need to farm, working his way towards that Leandries to be a real menace in this game. But as we check in with the overall gold in the economy, still very much favoured for Kanga despite them closing up the gap. And a lot of that would be in thanks to Emphis.
Emphis really far ahead right now, almost 1,000 gold up over Styx, who is the next closest in that terms of that gold. You can see sitting on that Malignant and very close to completing his second item as well here. So this Ahri, you know, yes, it has a bit of a rough time 1v1 versus the Taliyah, but certainly capable of getting work done in those skirmishes, right? You're dashing forward, you've got a Nautilus and a Renekton both behind you to kind of add that supplementary CC if its charm lands. So a very scary prospect as we head into this next Dragon spawn. Lichbane completed, very potent item at the moment, right? With the amount of damage you're able to do as an Ahri, especially throwing out those W's, kiting, kind of playing like a Marks Mage almost in that mid lane position. As once again, mid lane will be the focus. Herald is summoned here. No one's driving it for the time being, though. Both teams acknowledging that they want to pull the trigger at any moment.
Certainly do. So they're going to be looking to try and find those picks. That's what their entire comp is built around. If the charm lands, then they're certainly keen to make a fight happen as a result. With Refury at the very end decides, you know what, I will in fact jump in. Let's guarantee that this tower falls on down and even up the deficit in this mid lane. Both tier 1s destroyed. That next Dragon to look forward to now in under 60 seconds. And I do wonder, Max, with the flashes being burnt on both Styx and Kurak, there's a real possibility that the Tahm Kench isn't actually going to be that saving grace right now. It's Emphis, not the situation you want to be. Crescent Guard negates it, Spirit Rush divides it. As Rivet finds himself in a sticky situation, burns his ultimate, and realizes that everybody has taken a bit of a beating here, but walks back in for the seismic shove. They say, that's just too easy then, and capitalize on it beautifully. Lisa burns the flash, but gets pebbled down, and thankfully receives the heal from Senna.
Huge fight there from Kanga. It almost looked like it was going to be another standstill, but it starts with Emphis walking up a little bit too far, being forced to boil in the altars. Katsuri looking onto Styx here.
Chain's missed though, so no route for the meantime. A fantastic shove away. Katsuri completely stuck, caught, and out of position. And Refu, not one to settle for just a single kill, is hunting for the second. There it is, flicking back and pick it right up.
He doesn't stop Fury in the mid lane. He didn't give us much in the interview, but he's certainly giving us a lot to talk about now. This Taliyah, so aggressive. You can see off the back end there, Katsuri and Shinki wanting to potentially catch out Styx. An isolated Varus without flash is a very appealing target. But let's take a look at how this all starts here. You can see Emphis just caught off guard by this vision here. Invictus wants to get the one shot, but it's enough to force him to run away. And then by that point, the front line is so isolated for Direwolves that they have to retreat. And River simply not respecting Fury's damage here, not respecting his position. And him going down is really the start of the bad things to come for Direwolves. You can see Lisa barely getting out, escaping that Taliyah and Varus Q. But that means it will be a third dragon into the hands of Kanga. One dragon away from this Infernal Soul that is just so deadly on the likes of Taliyah and Varus.
Well, they already do so much damage here. It'd be absolutely terrifying if that one comes online as well. And it's just a curious decision that River decides to go back in, given that your most fed member in the Ahri is the first one out. Clearly indicating that the fight was over from that point onwards, and it had a bit of a knock-on effect, right, with the fact that the flashes had to be burnt ultimately. So it's a weird situation to find themselves in. And once again, hands across the gold lead to Kanga, back up by nearly 3,000. And in a very comfortable spot to then shut down the split push pressure for the Void Grubs to find maximum value and to really dictate the vision line as to saying, if you try and sneak a Baron, it's just not going to be possible.
It's not going to be possible at all, as we can see a little bit of posturing here. Kanga, luckily, will acknowledge that their lack of vision means that they shouldn't be walking in. No unnecessary risks needing to be taken at this point, right? If you're Kanga, you feel very comfortable kind of waiting out this next 4 or so minutes until a dragon spawns, and then you can really kind of have that Baron flip as a potential option. Whereas if you're the Direwolves right now, you need to make something happen. You don't want to get into a situation where you're forcing to trade between either an Infernal Soul or a Dragon. And it looks like with all this topside control, Baron will be the focus. They have a Brand, they have a center, so it goes down fairly quickly. But still, all this CC available for Kanga. And Invictus is just staring at River right now. Wudon is moving down. You can see on the minimap here.
And they go. The collapse begins as it does get taken by Kanga in the end. The 2v1 happens. The slice and dice is not enough to run him out, so he has to burn the flash too, but then locked inside that chain, surrounded by 4 in the end. And down for 40 seconds as Direwolves have to hang on.
Not only that, Katsuri has the flash because of a really nice W there from Kurak. So all around the board, summoners and kills going in the favor of Kanga. It was really nice play by Victus to wait a little bit until Wudon was in position, and then the early flash to force that E to come out as Kurak's been engaged on.
It certainly has been. If it's not Shinky, it's Kurek. These supports have certainly bear the brunt of a fair bit of damage. No stun to deny that Abyssal dive away to safety in the fixed skin, offering so much mitigation on that occasion. But Refury flanking from the right-hand side says, I've got a pick. The charm crucially misses, and the Talia stays alive for such a long time. The shield from the Archangels is blocked, and the fight works so well in Kanga's favor.
Fancy feat from Ryu there. That charm hitting would have been a death sentence, but luckily he's able to kite behind those Raptors, really use that camp and that position to his advantage. And then once the boys come in, they're able to buy enough space that he ends up staying alive. And honestly, the Direwolves feeling a little bit desperate right now. This Baron will be started up now. This isn't on any vision. Invictus kind of smells something is up here. He will face check, but there's no flash to get into the pit.
He certainly won't know just yet as he does go across, realizing, look, there's no chance. It'd be far too greedy. And ultimately, Direwolves do decide to back away in the end. It's a weird situation to find yourself in because Direwolves are feeling pressed to make something happen, but they're just trying to do it all around this mid lane.
You can see they really want to get aggressive on this mid lane. They've identified Kurak as the target because you can't devour yourself this time, Kench. That's one of the clear drawbacks and ways of countering that champion. But Kurak gets out using the flash, and then Ryu Fury actually seismic shoves Shinky over the wall here. I'm not sure he was intending to do that, but this Raptor camp is really the saving grace here. Able to get behind there, able to use it as a bit of a shield and keep himself alive there. Unfortunately for the Direwolves, Shinky will go down in response. And it really feels like this Nautilus has been paying for their sins so far. 0 and 5 here is this support as the Dragon's spawning. There's someone's going to have to face check, and with all this damage on Kanga, that's not going to be a fun job.
Yeah, and who has the flash to do it? Right now, it's only Lisa on the side of Direwolves available, and you certainly don't want him to be the one to lead the line. It's a weird situation, but one that certainly screams that they're going to have to trade something. There will be blood.
Look at Ryu.
A blood price for this one to be paid. The only flash available isn't going to be burnt. Lisa just tanks it. He just tanks it and waddles away in the end as they realize, look, that Dragon's not too far away, but this is not a good sign when your jungler's already this low.
And look at Wudon here. He's got a fantastic flank here. Weaver's Wall comes out.
He looks to try and find the target he's after to take that Brand away. Flash, smash. The Sunder Sky proccing to delete Brand from the game. Surrounded by multiple as River once again down for his 6th death of the game. This time the seismic shove doesn't land, but Refury flashes with conviction to get himself a kill on the board. And this team fight from start to finish, all things Kanga.
Kanga with the perfect team fight set up there. They have control of the mid wave, chunking out Lisa before the fight even starts. And then it's Wudon on this Aatrox. He finally gets involved in a team fight, and how dominant is it from that point? Lisa uses the flash, but ultimately not able to actually create anything. And that means it's going to be an Infernal Soul going over to Kanga.
Certainly is. 4 back-to-back Dragons, uncontested has it been here for the side of Kanga, as they have really broke open this game to be theirs to lose now. Up by 5,000, every flash being burnt, and the perfect Weaver's Wall to create that pressure.
It's really nice from Ryu Fury here. Direwolves miss all of their initial engage, right? The Charm and the Hook both missing, meaning that Kanga have a really free go of things here. You can see Lisa just unable to create space versus this Aatrox, who has so much mobility, so much damage at this point in the game. And when you're facing a flank like that while already being chunked so hard, it's almost impossible to win that fight. You can see Katsuri does what he can, but simply this center does not have the damage as Kanga certainly do.
Yeah, certainly doesn't at this stage. Only 65 stacks complete as the center, as another one falls on down. And now Kanga really well and truly are saying this Baron, it won't be a dance. We want this for sure.
Yeah, and Lisa, how does he actually walk in here? No flash. Might be walking into Re Fury as well.
He's face checks the seismic shove and realized, look, this Talia is out of control. Welcome back to the meta. And this is why we weren't keen to see it. And yeah, 5-1-5 unleashed would be an understatement now, as Woodon, very keen for his PvE shenanigans, is one to definitely zone away Emphis and make sure that he can't sneak away a kill. Deny a Baron buff as the Abyssal Dive goes across the wall. The Tongue Lash not connecting, but still on the hunt for kills as Woodon knocking down River from afar. But with the chains being broken, they've got 5 Baron buffs. Now, the siege begins for Inhibitors.
And now the siege is so potent. Not only do you have this Baron, but you also have this Infernal Soul. So Direwolves, they need to do something or else they're just going to fall victim to this poke. You can see how much Styx is getting done already. And whilst this is all happening, Re Fury pushing waves towards that bot lane. Woodon's ran mid as well, so there's 3 waves of pressure coming in now. Styx!
Wow. Well, your most fed member, they've just fallen on down, and Styx wants to send a clear statement in this one. I've arrived at his team. This is my pro debut. And I am by no means a downgrade for this roster, the pressure being on, but want to rise to it. Certainly primed and ready to go here to take this entire series 2-0.
But Skimmy, there's all 4 members of the Direwolves in towards this top lane. Is correct, goes on to Shinky.
And he does look for it. Flash being burnt again. Started off, but it's a 1-3-1 as every single lane is getting pushed, but still Direwolves are losing it. The Devour comes out, denying any kind of retribution that Direwolves are hunting for. They're going to lose this tower in the top lane. It's going to fall in the bot lane as Re Fury picks up an inhibitor. Meanwhile, mid lane, still Woodon challenges in the 1v1. It doesn't really matter because still top lane, Invictus decides to flash across and say, I might be low, but it's not going to deter me from my overall goal here. Pops the ultimate, gets one. Lisa with no mana, no cooldowns is an easy second pick as well. Katsuri finds at least something there with the shutdown, his first kill of the game. But is it too little, too late? It certainly feels that way, as he'll have to burn the flash to try and follow that kill. 2 found, but the price is so high because their base has been shattered.
Their base will be shattered, and Emphasis' hopes might be as well, as Re Fury takes him down, just barely living there. Kanga all across the board. It's a fiasco in the top lane. Almost everyone on the Direwolves locked in to try to find the fight there. But meanwhile, their base is being broken open. TP back from Re Fury. They're looking to close out game 1.
Looking in the game with 50 seconds left on this Baron buff. They have well and truly stamped their authority in this game, Max. Kanga, 25 kills. They certainly did go in Kang Bang.
They absolutely did. Styx here coming in as the MVP in my eyes. So much value from this Varus and Talia. The damage that they're pumping out in addition to all the CC, you can see that's a happy man there. He's pleased with his debut, and why wouldn't you be after a performance like that?
Certainly nothing to critique on that occasion as far as things go for a very first game on the stage. Well, at the break, Kanga lead at 1-0. Let's see if they can bounce it back in game 2.